Hi, and welcome to Productivity Month on the Path to Profit podcast. Along with my wife, Dr. Minette Riordan, I am Brad Dobson, and we are going to start Productivity Month with 3 easy ways to improve your focus, your creative focus.
Well, I would say your business focus, even more than your creative focus.
But aren't they the same thing?
They could be, depending on your business. Like for me, they're distinct. Like today, I'm pretty obsessed with that big Buddha painting over there. Like I'd way rather be painting right now.
That's looking pretty good, along with the one behind us, the new purple one behind us.
The new purple one. I don't know if it's new. I think she's been there for a few weeks now.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So if you're listening on iTunes or listening to the audio, wondering what we're talking about, go check it out on YouTube. There's a whole gallery of my art, my crazy habit for painting on the weekends. And my son did a great job of helping to get it hung up so there isn't so much clutter around.
Now it just takes up the whole wall.
No, it just takes up the whole wall. But clutter is one of the things we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be also talking about...
Did you just segue?
I did.
Damn.
It was a good segue too, except that we forgot the quote.
Ah, yes.
You want to read the quote?
Well, in fact, you segued to the quote.
How about if I read the quote?
Go for it.
All right. So, and before I read the quote, just back up and say that I'm super excited about Productivity Month because this is a topic that we find that our clients really struggle with. And I think more importantly, it's a topic that we really still struggle with as creatives and as entrepreneurs. There are so many distractions around. There's a lot of physical clutter around. You know, we've got the camera for the video for this poised just perfectly so you don't really see all the clutter that's piled around on the desk.
That's right.
But it's a super important topic. And we spent the whole morning today before we recorded this really sitting down and doing planning. I find that planning is one of the best ways to eliminate overwhelm and be more productive. So we'll talk about that this month.
And we did quality planning too. It wasn't just navel gazing type of planning. We actually
we're good at the navel gazing too.
We did some good stuff.
We did.
Quote.
Yes, sir. So totally went down my rabbit hole about productivity there. So clutter is the physical manifestation of unmade decisions fueled by procrastination.
Ow.
Clutter is the physical manifestation of unmade decisions fueled by procrastination.
So basically open loops. That unkept.
We got to say who it's by.
That unkept desk is just an open loop.
It is. And that is an awesome quote. And I found it multiple times online. So it's a popular one with people by Christina Scalise. And as I was reading that quote, I was thinking about some of the things that are on my personal or our family to-do list that aren't getting done. Like we're in the process of doing some estate planning, setting up new will and trust. We have an 18-year-old, so things are changing in our lives right now. And we got the poke email from the attorney's office today saying, hey, we started.
You came to us.
You came to us and asked for help. So for me, and then the physical clutter manifestation part of that is that the envelope from them with the documents to be signed and to be filled out, and the document feels overwhelming. It's like a big fat document, and it's sitting right below the new one that came in the mail, which is the tax planner. From the accountant, which is also requiring our attention. And I love this quote. I never thought about my clutter being a physical manifestation of my procrastination. And it's so true.
Yeah. And I could kind of go deep with this because I definitely have had and continue to have that issue of leaving things open and finding an excuse to not complete it.
Define an open loop? Like when you say open loop, what do you mean by that?
Perhaps an unanswered email, perhaps a request to get some work done that's going to take more than, it's going to take more than 5 or 10 minutes to do that I couldn't respond to. Maybe it's an unfiled notice from Anthem Healthcare, or what is it, Blue Cross now.
But it's also things like collecting on money that's owed to you,
right,
or figuring out a budget so that you can make better decisions in your business, and they take up mental space.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in the quote, Christina Scalise was talking about physical clutter and how it creates mental clutter, or is a physical manifestation of what's going on in our head. And for me, the scary part and the stressful part about open loops is they take up mental space, right? They're like an
Mm-hmm.
actual physical burden that stops us from moving forward.
Yeah. And when I, if I'm honest with myself, I think I use them as a, maybe not a crutch, but a way to reinforce how I view myself as overwhelmed, right? By keeping all of these things incomplete. But they steal away cycles that are otherwise, or just turn into distractions.
Mm-hmm.
I think one little habit to help with that is, or two actually, that came up in the last few weeks. One is to anything that could be done in under a minute is to do it immediately. And the other one is to do lazy cleaning, which is to just pick up one thing as you go by every time you go by. Not once a day. Every time you walk past your desk, put away one thing, or whether it's the kitchen or your desk or whatever it is. Same's true with email. So, those tiny little things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I usually say 5 minutes or under for email, because sometimes it takes a minute to
Right.
propose a response or make a lot of graphic designers. You might have one correction to make, but if it's going to take more than 5 minutes, it needs to go on a to-do list or into your schedule in your planner. But the three things that we want to focus on today are pretty important, and they're clutter. We're going to share a fun tip about having a distraction to-do list. We'll say more about that in a minute. And we want to talk about sleep. But we're going to start with clutter because we think that clutter is the most important, and it's the one where clutter doesn't tend to bug me in the same way that it bugs Brad. But noticing how physical clutter in your space creates mental clutter and vice versa. So what clutter often does is inhibits creativity. If you can't see a clear space to just sit down and work, write,
Mm-hmm.
draw, paint, there's days that I might spend 6 or 8 hours copywriting. I can't do that if my space isn't clean. So I find that lazy cluttering is great, but I often find that decluttering doesn't take as long as I think it does. So
That's true.
right before this call, we'd spent all morning planning and we knew we needed a break. And I'm like, let's go for a walk. And Brad's like, why don't we go clean out back? Which
Right.
was great because we didn't have to put shoes on and it's a beautiful, warm, sunny day. And we find we don't sit outside on our back patio, which is lovely, in our garden as often because the table's covered in dust
Right.
or the chairs are covered in dust. And so in 10 to 15 minutes, actually, I threw stuff away, threw some old Lego away that our nephew had left in the
Perfect.
garden. Brad got the fountain running, turned the sprinklers off, moved the umbrellas. So now we have this beautiful, clean space that's inviting us to come and sit and connect and create.
Yeah. And I need it much more than Minette does. As she said, I really struggle with, I think it's more of a sensory overload type of thing for me. Um, I'm looking for that in a room that I sit in. I'm looking for it at my desk. All of those things, whether it's laundry or papers or uh, dishes, they all represent just things that my mind needs to work on, and so I struggle with that. I tend to keep my desk a lot cleaner. It hasn't been great lately, but I definitely like it that way.
And it's paperwork, right? Paperwork is the thing that tends to pile up the most. And we aren't even in a business or an industry that requires the amount of paperwork that we used to be.
Right.
But still, it's that paperwork. Maybe for you, it's kids' homework or junk mail or bills to be paid, and things are piling up, and maybe they're piling up in different places. This is the time of year, as we are thinking ahead to tax season, we always have a file folder or an envelope or someplace we put, as soon as it comes in from the mail, all the tax information goes in one place.
Right.
So then we're not scrambling for where was that mortgage insurance statement and where was the tax property assessment statement and all the other things. So I did read Marie Kondo's book, The Art of Tidying Up. And for me, it was a little extreme,
A little over the top.
a little over the top, where you touch everything once, right? And if you love it, you keep it, which I did love that part. But everything has a place, and there's a place for everything. Like my little bit of messiness.
That's pretty AR. That's
so, but there's elements of that process of really pausing to evaluate all the things that are around you and asking yourself on a regular basis, am I ever going to use this again?
Sure.
You know, people talk about it in terms of closets, especially ladies love to talk about it in terms, excuse me, of our closets and what we're wearing and cleaning out our closets. But I think the same is true for creatives. How many pens do you have lying around that don't even work anymore? Or just how many pens in general do you have around?
Yep.
There's a lot in my office. And I love to pick up free pens and trade shows. And so a lot of stuff starts to accumulate that we truly don't need. And looking at it from the perspective of, am I going to use this in the next 24 to 48 hours?
Right, right. And, you know, circling back, this is just one of those things that is stealing time away from your business focus and your creative focus.
Yeah.
It's an awfully big challenge to really get into a creative flow when all those things are pulling on you all the time and pulling at your focus.
Yeah, that's so true. I love that. I wrote down stealing time. That's a good one. That's that clutter is stealing our time. So one of the fun strategies, number two on our list of 3 easy ways to improve your focus, is to do what we call a morning brain dump. And this could also be combined with something really creative and fun, like Julia Cameron's morning pages or your morning journaling time. But it's when you get to your desk in the morning and get ready to get to work, whether that's your home office, your kitchen table, or you go to a physical office, it's literally to sit down and dump everything that's going through your head at the moment onto a piece of paper that can be set aside, right? So this is what we call your distraction to-do list. And it might be that thing on the way to work and you were going, who was the actor in that movie? You don't need to go to the IMDb app on your phone right now and look it up, right? Or you might be thinking, oh my gosh, I can't remember to pack Maggie a snack so that she has that snack for piano lessons on the way to piano lessons this afternoon. So there's all these things that distract us from just sitting down and getting to work. So create a distraction to-do list and then use it during the day for a fun pause. So that one about who was it that sang that song again? Give yourself some playtime to go surf around a little bit on YouTube and watch that fun song. Or for me personally, I've got this Buddha I'm painting and his nose just isn't quite right. And so Brad and I literally spent like 10 minutes going, this little part of the nose needs to be redone. And it was a fun 10-minute distraction in the middle of our painting. So a distraction to-do list.
There might be a koan in there about the Buddha's nose. I'm not sure.
About the Buddha's nose, a koan about the Buddha's nose. So that might be fun. But having a distraction to-do list and then making those distractions almost like a reward, because the truth is we can only focus for so long and we need breaks. According to the Pomodoro method, which is a great one, once an hour, you should take a 10-minute break. And you could do some of those fun distraction things. Like we went and cleaned the garden. And while Brad was cleaning the garden, I cleaned the kitchen. And so just fun things. And you might not think that cleaning the garden and the kitchen are fun, but for us, they are. Actually, I love having a clean kitchen. It makes everything else work better for me. So where Brad likes a clean desk, I like a clean kitchen.
And there are opportunities for a little zen as well. If you're with that program, you can turn off other things and just focus on actually cleaning.
Yep. And then the third thing we want to talk about is done. Drum roll, please.
So this is the reverse. This is the to-do list the night before.
Yeah.
And I had started doing this based on some things I had read, and then there was a recent study out of Baylor that
and we'll link to that study in the show notes.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Where they'd given a couple of groups of people either an assignment of 5 minutes of writing out tomorrow's to-do list before they went to bed, or not doing that. And the folks who wrote out the to-do list got to sleep faster, and so that meant they got better sleep. And so that's one way to get to number 3, which is better sleep. And for those of you who have listened to us for a while, you know that I'm kind of on a sleep quest. And it
A
really,
better sleep
yeah,
quest.
it really is the core to everything. I can be best Brad, best me when I've had a great night's sleep, and I think
Mhm.
that's true for most people. So that's our number three and perhaps core way of helping improve your focus.
And so, from a business perspective, the things that contribute to a lack of better sleep are clutter, especially mental clutter. Those open loops can keep you awake at night.
Financial stress.
Financial stress can definitely keep you awake at night. Caffeine can keep you awake at
You bet.
night. So Brad ended up giving up caffeine completely, and I've cut back.
Yeah.
Alcohol can keep you awake at night as well.
Yeah, it gets you to sleep faster, but
Yeah, but
then
then,
you're up.
the older you get, then you're awake in the middle of the night is what we found. So, and we're not at all proponents of drinking or not drinking or caffeine versus no caffeine, but we're
What,
about
this isn't the abstinence show?
no, this is not the abstinence show at all, but it is about finding out, it's about finding out what is stopping you from sleeping and testing
Yeah,
those things. It could be any one of those things. Brad and our daughter Maggie, both too much garlic gives them crazy dreams and impacts their sleep. And sometimes Maggie will say, I want to eat more garlic, so I have those crazy
that's
dreams
right.
again. And Brad's like, I don't want the crazy dreams. So noticing from physical clutter to mental clutter to diet and exercise habits, what's keeping you awake. And we're not here to talk about, there's a million studies, podcasts, and articles on how your technology can interrupt your sleep as well.
Sure.
So, that's a whole nother area. But in the terms of increasing and improving your focus as a creative, we find that doing whatever you can to get a good night's sleep is really crucial.
Yeah. I I could say that again and again and again.
Yeah, one of the things that I've been testing out recently, and I feel like is personally having an impact, is the Headspace app. Really love the Headspace app, and I've been listening to the falling asleep. So all of his meditations are primarily done in 10 to 30-day sequences. And so right now I'm doing the sleep one, and it's just talking about sleep. And I usually fall asleep during it, even though that may not be the intention of the meditation. It doesn't replace my other meditation practice,
Right.
but there's something about completely shifting mental gears by just breathing and focusing and conscientiously relaxing that has really helped me personally. So
Yeah, meditation is huge, right?
Brad's doing his brain dump in his journal the night before. I'm doing the Headspace app. So those are just a couple of the ways that we're personally experiencing that. And we said 3 easy ways, but we could probably add exercise to our one of the things that improves sleep.
Oh, absolutely. Clearly. You know, you need to work your body to
Mm-hmm.
and of course I'm a big proponent of that, but you know, when you get your heart rate up and your lungs working and your muscles in use, your body wants that, and it helps you sleep better. It just does. Um, Sex, that helps you sleep better. Lack of stress from meditation, all those
I
things.
think more sex was on our to-do list for this year, right?
Clearly.
It's clearly on productivity. Yes.
I wanted to go back to one last thing about taking those notes before you go to bed about what's going to happen tomorrow. You check your Google Calendar, you see what appointments are on, you write that down. You write down your big six, whatever main things you think you need to get done the next day. The neat part about that is that overnight your brain works on that, and you're much more clear the next day about getting those things done, and getting a focus on them. So perhaps if you're looking to have a creative focus the next day, you could write down what creative things you're going to do tomorrow, and then magically those are going to flow out of you the next day because your brain's ready for it. It spent 8 hours kind of mulling it over, and it knows what it wants to do.
Or 3 or 4 or 10,
That's right.
depending on how many hours that you sleep. It's so true. I love checking my Google Calendar to make sure I know what appointments are coming, especially if I have sales calls. coming the next day and just being able to dream and feel like I'm in a really, really good place to have those conversations is super, super important. So we're kind of talking around in circles here, but I wanted to go back to the clutter one for just a minute, because I had a memory of one of the life coaches that Brad and I worked with probably about 10 years ago, an amazing woman named Jenny Bear in Dallas, Texas. And Jenny used to say 15 minutes a day, like set a timer, get the whole family. And the kids thought this was hilarious. So they were really young when we were doing this. So we would pick a room, set a timer for 15 minutes and say, go. And everybody would pick something up or grab a broom or contribute to cleaning. And I know that my pattern in the past would have been to spend an all-day Saturday cleaning the house.
Right.
And then I felt like my weekend was gone, and that was frustrating, and there was no downtime or playtime, and the kids were grumbling and complaining because they're like, all we do is clean around here, right? And so it didn't contribute to the type of lifestyle that we wanted. So making sure that you're focusing on the clutter in a way that feels really healthy and supportive to your entire family. This is a lifestyle issue and a lifestyle choice, especially when you have two people that don't necessarily have the same feelings or thoughts around clutter in the same way. I had another thought, but it disappeared.
I think that that 15-minute method also supports the lazy cleaning, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, pick stuff up as you go by, and then also knowing that you've got that 15-minute block to perhaps get a little deeper.
Yeah.
Without it turning into a whole Saturday or a whole weekend or whatever it is.
And it's movement, right? It actually gets you up from your table and your desk and gets you moving a little bit more, walk those extra few steps to actually put things away, as opposed to just maybe lying on the couch for hours and hours on end, binging on Netflix.
That's right. All righty. I think we're wrapping this one up. This was show number 1 of Productivity Month.
And we have an awesome special gift for you guys.
I was going to what the next podcast was.
Oh, you're already going to the next podcast. Well, we got to tell them about the fun part. So one of the things, and Brad mentioned this a few minutes ago, was one of the things that we teach our clients is our whole time management system. And part of that is what we call the daily big 6. And this is never having more than 6 things on your to-do list that you commit to doing before you go to bed at night. No fewer than 3, no more than 6. They can be a combination of personal or business related, but it's learning how to chunk things down into tiny bite-sized steps. And it's amazing how small steps create massive momentum in your business. And so to make that process artful and fun, which is my favorite way to get anything done, is artfully and playfully, we created the Artful Profit Planner. This is a 30-day planner. You can download it totally for free at the artfulprofitplanner.com. There's no the in it, right? Just artfulprofitplanner.com.
Right. And we'll have a link in the show notes.
And we'll have a link in the show notes. But if you're trying to,
cool. Our clients love it.
It's really cool. It's been probably the number one thing that's created the most impact and results from a financial perspective for our clients. It is about how to make a profit in your business, which, as the Path to Profit podcast, we're pretty excited and passionate about profit. So go check out artfulprofitplanner.com and download your free planner. You'll also get a couple of fun videos that'll tell you how to use it, because a planner without instructions is not very useful.
That's right.
And so playful, artful, and useful. I think that's my mantra for today.
Very nice.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you on the next show, where we're going to talk about
slow down to speed up.
Slow down to speed up. That'll be a great topic. All right. See you guys later.
Bye, guys.